Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Trevis. So this is not a video of like tips or anything. This is just I guess more of a podcast, if you will, of a storytelling podcast of something I just wanted to share here. So I someone a TV show producer, if you will, reached out to me through LinkedIn, which something that I try to stress. I've stressed on many other videos on like how to grow your community and your stream channel, all that stuff, is you need to have an account on like every social media platform. If you're trying to grow something and turn it into a business or start as a business and make it a legit income producing business, you need to have a LinkedIn page. There's a million reasons for it. I have known many of my friends who have a job now because they were scouted or recruited from someone on LinkedIn. If your LinkedIn is up to date, it has all the information possible, you definitely want to have it. Maybe you don't have many accolades. Maybe you've only worked at one job and maybe you don't have a lot of education or anything to put on there. Put as much on there as you can. Make sure it's up to date, especially if you're looking to to grow from where you are or anything like that. So I had a producer of a TV show reach out to me. I want to say maybe a week ago through LinkedIn, and she's like, "Hey, we looked at your profile. We feel like you'd be somebody that'd be good for season 2 of this." And for someone, of course, with the theater background and the acting background, it was always it piqued my interest, of course, so I looked more into it, and I set up a meeting with this producer yesterday to kind of talk about the show and everything. So the show itself is called The Social Movement. It hasn't actually aired yet. It airs. So I'm being cast for I'm being considered to cast for season 2. They haven't sent me any NDA or anything yet, which is why I'm legally allowed to talk about it, because I haven't signed anything that says I can. Which of course probably would be the next meeting when they give me more concrete details or anything like that. I won't be able to share anything, of course, thereafter. But I pretty much got the basic stuff. I just wanted to get an understanding of the show and everything, so I asked a lot of questions. I watched the trailer. So what they did is they recorded season 1, and I'll explain this show in a second. But they recorded season 1 in 2019. It was supposed to air in 2020, but coronavirus delayed everything. So all of us won't even be able to see season 1 until Labor Day of this year. So I'm recording this now at the end of March. So September 2021 Labor Day is when you're going to see season 1, and it's going to be on a ton of stuff too. Channel wise, let me pull up the list of channels here. Give me a second. So it's going to be on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Fire TV, Vudu, Google Play, Xbox, Roku, and a few other streaming services or platforms such as that as well. But the concept of the Social Movement TV show, where the season 1 is airing in September, and then season 2 is going to be filming in a few months, which is I'm being considered for, is that I think season 1 is slightly different than season 2, but season 1 they got 4 teams together, and each of them had a topic, like a world. What's the word I'm looking for? A bettering the world topic that they had to address and attack. So they would get a group of people together for team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4. I haven't seen the show yet. All I see is the teaser trailer, but this is what I gathered from that and the few questions I asked, just so I can have an understanding of the show as a whole, because like I said, nobody on the planet besides the editors and people that worked on the show have actually seen all of these episodes that are going to air in September. But they gave each team a different world topic to tackle. So I don't know their exact topics, but let's say world hunger, or I think from the trailer somebody had how to stop a hurricane from making landfall. Just like crazy things like this that seem to us the smaller minded average individual impossible, but they get the smartest people possible in a group, and they're like, okay, so maybe some of them are engineers, where they may be like, with my engineer brain, I think we can build, if we had all the money in the world, what could we build to do X, Y, Z? And then there's just different people with different skill sets. So season 1, they had 4 different people, 4 different teams, and 4 different topics, and they had to tackle it and create a business or a platform that would tackle this specific topic. And so then I think I think season 1 is also a 4-day filming thing. So in 4 days, this team that have never met each other before are spending 4 days together to create this business or this platform that can tackle this world topic. And if after the end of 4 days, I'm assuming they are doing like a Shark Tank pitch saying, this is who we are, even though it's only been 4 days, this is who we are, this is what we plan to do, this is if we would get investment funding, this is how we would use this, how we would tackle it, and XYZ days, this is the improvement on our specific topic we can do. So at the end of the season, like I said, I haven't seen anything. This is just from me watching the trailer and asking a few questions. What I've obtained is whoever is and it's not like a winner take all thing either. So whoever in the 4-day period is able to pitch these investors and give them something that makes sense, and they're like, yes, everything you're saying, like, you guys definitely did your work. I believe that this is something that's possible based on all this stuff you presented to me that you've put together in a 4-day span. Yes, I want to invest in you. And they actually like get that Shark Tank investment, so they actually become an entity. They actually become an actual a business. So they become an entity where everybody as part of this team has equity in the company and all that jazz. And then I'm assuming they go on and tackle. I don't know how. I think it filmed 2 years ago, so I'm hoping they've done something with the investment funding in the past 2 years. I know that coronavirus has jacked up investment funding for even me on the fantasy sports and the sports betting side of the companies that I run. But so I understand the show now, and then I was asking questions, and the thing that was confusing is at the very, very end of this was like a 70-minute meeting. At the very end of the 70-minute meeting, it was the producer said, how did she word it? It was she goes, yeah, so the only thing that we ask the contestants is to just cover their expenses. I was like, okay, well, it's not like a world-renowned show yet. Season 1 hasn't even aired yet. I was like, okay, it's going to film in Miami. So I was like, well, I mean, I can drive to Miami. I have friends in Miami I can crash with. I can, if need be, I can get a hotel. So I'm like, okay, 4 days, that's not a huge deal if I have to pay my own way there and my stay and even food or anything. And she was, and she's like, yeah, there's hair and makeup and all that stuff. I was like, okay, well, even the most expensive hair and makeup person can't cost, more than, whatever number I came up in my head. So I was like, yeah, that's going to be a problem. But the problem is that they already had a predetermined number of what all of this was going to cost, which came to $25K, which froze me in this meeting that I had. I was like, wait a second, $25K over 4 days. I was like, okay, so let's do some simple math here real quick. So $25K over 4 days means that I'm roughly spending $6,000 a day to be on this show. And I was like, okay, the $25K, $6,000 a day. I go, okay, so driving, if that includes my transportation and my hotel stay and everything, and the driving and then the food and then the hair and makeup, I go like I'm definitely missing something here. There's no way in the world covering my own expenses, even if I was the most posh, expensive person in the world, buying the most expensive lobster dinners and everything, and drinking the most expensive cups of coffee or whatever it may be, that I could even come to this number. So I froze in this phone call, and I was like, she's like, and then just casually like, is that something you think you'd be able to cover? I'm like, and it's not the fact that, well, it is the fact that I'm like, there's not any area of my brain that was like, I wonder if I could pull this off, because I'm not, even though like I started, there's like, I can't even like get it out right now. My brain was firing on a million different cylinders of like, one was on the investing side. Like, okay, if I invested $25K to be part of this show, would me being on the show reciprocate at least $25K worth of exposure? Like if I was on the show, they gave me a topic, whether I did the topic or not, or we made it to the end and we got the investment funding or not, would I be able to quantify $25,000 return once this show airs in April? And so I started looking at that, calculating that, like what would need to happen, me on the show, regardless of if this group I'm with actually becomes something or not. But me on the show, like I'm trying to quantify that. At the same time, like then this other area of my brain's like just saying like there's not a quantifiable thing. Like sure, you're gonna be on all these channels, but the brand exposure, like unless I'm literally allowed to talk about like it's me Trevis like 24/7, and then my sports betting and fantasy sports content media companies and everything else I do, I mean that if I'm able to do that often, or like every time I talk, every time the camera's on me over all of this this series of season 2, that like it has my tags, as you see, like right there, like if it has that stuff underneath my name every time I'm talking, sure, I can find a way to quantify $25,000 worth of value, because this thing's getting blasted globally on all of these networks that I mentioned earlier. So, I mean, they said like the minimum view expectation, the bare minimum, is like 10 million people are gonna be watching the show, and you know it's sky's the limit above that. So sure, there's maybe some quantifiable things, but it's something where like I would have to have like on paper, like you're getting at least X amount of minutes of screen time over this course of the season. Every single time, every single fraction of a second that you get airtime where you're talking or the camera's on you, it's going to have, you know, this social media handle and this website or whatever. Like unless I can guarantee in writing that I'm getting that exposure, like me just being on a show is not, without any of that, is not going to be worth $25,000 of exposure. So it's just like me thinking like, what would need to happen for me to get that? And so I'm just on, like, that's immediately when my brain started going to. And then I think she mentioned that for season 1, there's a group of kids that was part of the one of the 4 teams was a group of kids, you know, maybe 15, 16-ish, maybe something like that. I have no idea. That would be my guess anyway. And she said that they got sponsors to pay their this fee, you know, this expense fee or whatever, what have you. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, I've been pretty successful over the past 3-4 years of getting partners and sponsors for the brands, you know, for our fantasy sports and sports betting brands. Like, okay, I have the wherewithal, the mental wherewithal to reach out to things. So I go, okay, so they make you pick your 3. They give you all of these topics. You go, these are the topics we want to tackle for season 2. Season 2 is going to be 10 teams of 10, so it's going to be 100 people. You know, more than double what season 1 would, which I'm being told and seeing what season 1 is. And they give you like, okay, pick your 3 topics. Here's your number 1 topic, your number 2 topic, your number 3 topic. So if they could squeeze you number 1, that's your most passionate one, then they will. If not, then they go to 2 and 3. So my number 1 topic was cyberbullying, because I feel like out of all the topics, that's the one I have most knowledge of. I would say I'm equally passionate on everything. Anything that negatively affects the world, I feel like I'm passionate on. But I feel like that's the thing that sparked like a few ideas in my head. Like, oh yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things we could, if I had, you know, the right people on my team, that we could probably work out and try to tackle. I mean, you guys know that I'm constantly online doing everything, so I already am in the atmosphere where cyberbullying exists. I don't necessarily get cyberbullied, but I know that there's tons, like whether they're kids getting cyberbullied or just female streamers or female gamers getting you know, bullied in chat or cyberbullied in DMs or whatever. Like, I know that is present with where I am actually right now. That I feel like it's something that I could potentially tackle. So I was like, okay, so let me think about some sponsor opportunities there. There's a lot of nonprofit cyberbullying and bullying organizations. Let me reach out to them. So earlier today, I sent a decently sized message to, I think, 3 or 4 different organizations. Like, hey, I'm considered to be cast on season 2 of this show. Here's the link to the show. Here's what the show's about. Here's the whole purpose of the show. And then there's a sponsorship opportunity if you want your name and your link and whatever on the show and being part of the show, and underneath my name, and I talk about you guys on the show as well. So I'll see what happens there. But I wanted to just want to kind of go over this, whether I get cast or not. Now, if I do, so I'm gonna have another meeting with the the producer in a day or two. That's when I'm sure they're going to give me the NDA and give me more information that I won't be able to talk about anytime after that. But whether I do or not, I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on this. Now, if you're not someone who's familiar with the acting, audition, TV show, movie thing, 99 times out of 100, if not 100 times out of 100, when someone asks you to pay for your place on X show or X movie, 100% of the time, you don't do it. So because I believe I can get a bullying nonprofit or a cyberbullying nonprofit to sponsor, that's kind of the only reason I'm considering it. If I get like 3 different organizations to make up, 80% of it, I might consider doing, 20% of the of that entry cost. But if I get nobody, then there's no chance. It's not quantifiable unless they can put in paper that my brands that I have ownership equity in will get the minimum exposure I require to give me the $25,000 worth of exposure that would make it a balance of me paying and then me getting that back in exposure. Then if I don't have that on paper guaranteed, then it's not something that makes any sense. Like there's just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, they mentioned like there's millions and zillions of dollars into this production company and into the show, and I think they said that they've already been approved for 10 seasons and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, why are you asking? Like, if you have like 7 figures for the show, and it's a 4-day, it's not even like Game of Thrones, like recording over like an 8-month to a year period. It's a 4-day thing. I don't cost $6,000 a day. Like, I will do my own hair and makeup. I have my own hair. I do my own hair anyway. I'm not too far away. I travel myself. I can crash at a friend's house. I mean, I can pay my own hotel. But it was crazy that like, I don't know. So I'm trying to reach out to other people involved to kind of get their thing on it. But it seems like 99% of the people have already signed an NDA. So they're like, oh, sorry, I can't answer any questions you have. But yeah, so if I get brought on the show, if everything works out and I do get those sponsorships, you're probably not going to see another video like this until you see me on these shows on this season 2, which will air in April on Earth Day 2022. But if I don't get it, I feel like I'm probably not going to talk about it again anyway. But yeah, I just want to make this one little video here to just talk about me being asked to be on a globally broadcasted, aired all over the place on all streaming platforms, but having to pay, a huge chunk, a new car price, a nice new car price to be involved on it. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But nevertheless, make sure you check it out because it does seem interesting. It will air on all those channels mentioned earlier on Labor Day, September 2021. And it's called The Social Movement. I think you can check out the trailer. It's called The Social Movement.tv. I think that's a website that sent you to the trailer. Or you can just Google Social Movement or The Social Movement TV on YouTube. But yeah, so that's it. Just want to share my 2 cents. See you guys.